everyone. Welcome to the TYPO3 Online Days 2021. Unfortunately, everybody gets the idea with the global pandemic and everything. So unfortunately, we'll only be having an online event today, even though hopefully everything gets better. So we hope you're all safe and sound and everybody gets well. If they're, you get the point. We want everybody to be safe. For this year's, it's not only this year's event, but today's event, we have 4 great speakers for you. So the opening will be done by jweiland of jweiland.net in a couple of seconds. Just as a quick information, what we have for you today, you can tweet to us at the hashtag T3ODQA, your questions for the speaker, as well as you can just type them in YouTube chat. And our lovely team will take care of basically showing all your questions. And we have 2 goodies for those who hand in questions. So we have TYPO3 guidebooks, and we have the brand new TYPO3 drinking bottles as a giveaway today, which we will be giving out to the best question, some random idea. We don't even know yet how exactly we're going to do it, but we'll be having goodies for everyone soon. As always, no event, neither offline nor online, would be possible without our sponsors, and we give a huge, huge thank you to all the people who got involved on very short notice and jumped in and helped out make all this happen. And we're going to roll the information about the sponsors now, and after that, we'll continue with our first speaker, which is jweiland. Enjoy.
Hello everybody and welcome to my presentation. My name is jweiland and I would like to show you how we did a TYPO3 update of a major city. The city is Pforzheim in southwest Germany, and for those who don't know the German geography, I would like to show you where this is. So it's a city just north of the Black Forest. And they have about 125,000 citizens. And as you can see from the pictures, you get an idea of the size of this city. Pforzheim is known for its jewelry industry, and it also has a nickname, Gold City. Population about 125,000. And they started quite early with a city website on the internet, and that was in 1998. And you can see here a screenshot that I picked from the archive. Then in 2002, they changed the design of their website, and that design was online for 5 years. In 2008, they switched over to TYPO3, and then they used version 4.1. And so they are one of the really early adopters of an open source content management system. And then they updated the website to TYPO3 version 4.5 and to TYPO3 version 4.7. Then a couple of years later, they changed the design of the website. And the website also became responsive so that you could look at the website on both a smartphone and on a desktop and a tablet. One of the tasks when we made this site in 2015 was to take over all the content we already had in the 4 version of TYPO3. So the design changed, the responsive design was added, but content that was already available was kept over to the next version. So then in 2017, we switched over to TYPO3 version 8.7. And now early this year, we switched over to version 10.4. And in this presentation, I'm going to show you how we did this update. Why is this a complex website? Well, a city of this size, they have to offer so many different services for all the people, visitors, businesses, and so on. And for all these services, they need some information on the website. In total, Pforzheim has 18 websites in one TYPO3 installation. So for each area of the city, for the town hall, the library, museums, fire department, and so on, they have their own website, but they all reside in the same TYPO3 installation, and they also share some of the data. For example, when the theater adds an event or a performance to their website, it also appears in the event calendar of the city. And then they also have another site, which is the intranet of the city, and that is in a separate TYPO3 installation just to keep the data completely separate from the public websites. And currently, the website has about 6 million page views per year, and this has increased quite a bit in the last 14 months since we had COVID, because so many people, they wanted to know what's going on with the pandemic and what are the new regulations and so on. It's also interesting to see how visitors changed over the time. In 2013, when the responsive website was already online, only about 20% used a mobile phone to visit the website. And over the years, it has completely changed. Now, the mobile visitors using their smartphone or cell phone are over 70% of all page views. And the desktop usage has gone down accordingly. Interesting that the use of tablets remained mainly constant over all those years. So it's about 5 to 6% of the visitors are using a tablet. A couple of statistics of this project: in that one TYPO3 installation, they have about 16,000 pages with 84,000 content elements, 63,000 media files like images, PDFs, and so on, about 10,000 news items, 8,000 events. They have 516 backend users, and you can see they are distributed about 280 backend user groups. So the rights for those users are completely different. Then they have also a lot of front-end users who can, for example, enter their own events and data into the system. In addition to the TYPO3 data, they are also working with some external sources of data. For example, the cinema program and some theater programs are read in with either XML or CSV. And there's also a government service, an e-service, where we access the data from the API. So the government of Baden-Württemberg is updating the data, and this is being fed into the TYPO3 system. On the other hand, we export all the event data to a local newspaper, which then prints the daily event calendar. So the project, the task we had to do is update from TYPO3 version 8.7 to version 10.4. So we are skipping version 9. And they also wanted to have a new design for all of their websites. And well, they wanted to have no downtime. So the site should be available all the time, because especially during the pandemic, they had to update data on a daily basis, and we couldn't make a freeze time of a couple of weeks or so to update the site. So the phase 1 was just a technical update from version 8.7 to version 10.4. So no new features were added, no extensions were added. It was just a technical update. the system is using a total of 22 system extensions. And our strategy is that we are using core extensions whenever possible. So if you keep the number of extensions low, then you don't have to update so many extensions. For example, in the old version of the website, we were using PowerMail. And in the meantime, we have Forms as a core extension. And so we switched everything over from PowerMail to Forms. So we have one extension less that we have to care for. And then we have this great TYPO3 extension repository. So where so many people and agencies publish the extensions they have developed. And there is a really good resource on extensions that you can use for your projects. And this is also what we did for the city website. So whenever we needed some functionality for the website, we look in the extension repository, is something there that we can use for the project? And yes, then we use it. Or if we can't find an extension that does what we need, then we do a special extension for that. We create an extension. And so we created a total of 32 custom extensions for this project, like the event calendar and all these things that are all extensions that we developed for the city of Pforzheim. And this is also what the city wanted, and they really understand the benefits of open source. They wanted us to publish all those extensions so that other people can use it and other people can contribute it. And we actually had quite a number of very good contributions from other people to those extensions. So all the extensions we developed, they are available for everyone, either on the TYPO3 extension repository or our GitHub repository, and also on Packagist. Now, when you normally do an update of a TYPO3 site, which may be not so complex, the typically what you do is you make a copy of the live site, and then you introduce a freeze phase where the editors don't change the content. And if during the freeze phase they actually change some content or add content to the live site, they have to add it again after the update process is completed. So while we have this freeze phase, we then update the TYPO3 version from 8.7 to 9.5 to 10.4. And when everything is completed, then we are switching over and the new version goes online. When the freeze phase is only a few hours to a few days, then this is no problem. But with the large number of extensions we had and the complexity of the site, it was clear that the update process would take a couple of months. And it was not possible at all to have a freeze phase, which takes a couple of months. So when you upgrade from one TYPO3 version to the next version, you always have some changes in the database structure. And the TYPO3 install tool helps you with that. There are upgrade wizards which convert the data from one version to the next version. You have the database analyzer tool, which you can use for the extensions you're using. So if that database structure changes, and you can do this all with the install tool. But you may have to convert some additional data. For example, in TYPO3 version 8, we were using realurl for the speaking URLs. And in TYPO3 version 10, we are using the slugs. And so we had to convert all the existing links in realurl, we had to convert them over to using the slug field. When we started the project in summer of last year, there were 16 extensions already available for version 10.4. So we could use them, and there was no problem making the upgrade with them. But 24 extensions were available for version 9.5, and 13 extensions were available for TYPO3 version 8.7. And they had all to be upgraded. So we made a long list of all the extensions that are in use, marked whether we had programmed them or if they are third-party extensions and who programmed them. and what is the current status. So the challenge we were facing is 37 extensions need to be updated. And some extension needed to be replaced by other extensions because they simply weren't available in version 10.4, or the functionality has moved from an extension to the TYPO3 core. The customer didn't want to have a freeze phase, or if there was a freeze phase, it should be very, very short. The website should be always available, so they required that we didn't have any downtime of the website. And we realized that creating a new design for a total of 19 websites is quite a long process, because for each website you have to go through several design cycles. You have to talk to the customer. The design has to be agreed on, and this is not what you can do within a week or so. Our approach for the technical update was this time a little bit different than we used it before. And what we did is, in order to get rid of the freeze phase, we first, as with the traditional upgrade process, we first made a copy of the website. So we took the live site, made a one-to-one copy, and used this copy to do the upgrade to version 10.4. But then, to keep the data from the live site with the development site in sync, we did a nightly content update. So every night we were taking all the data from the live site and pushed it over to the 10.4 version and did all the necessary conversions automatically. So the development site where we did the upgrade had always the current data, or the data was not older than 24 days. And also the customer then could have a look at our development and see, well, yesterday I have added a new news article, and the news article is then also already in the new version. So in order to do this nightly content update, our developers, they created a nice shell script. The runtime of the shell script was about 2 hours because we had to handle about 5 GB of data in the database. And this script, first it copies the version 8 database to the version 10 database. It applies a couple of modifications for the database, which are in a special database file, modifications.sql. And then it automatically executes all those upgrade wizards. The upgrade wizards that are already available in TYPO3 in the core, but also the upgrade wizards that we have written for our own extensions. Some of the features we didn't need to upgrade, so we used, when we did the automatic upgrades, we used the deny identifier to exclude some of the upgrade wizards, and you can see this in one of the next slides. So in this nightly update script, first we create a MySQL dump of the version 8 installation. Then we do an rsync to copy all the files from in the file admin and uploads directory from version 8 to version 10. And then we read the database dump into version 10 of TYPO3. And here you can see some excerpt from this nightly update script. So where we updated the schema, we did prepare the update wizards, then the update wizards were run. And here you can also see that we didn't run all. First we said, well, we are going to run all update wizards, but then we exclude some, like the TYPO3 DB legacy extension and so on. And then what we had to do at the end of the update process was to update all the language packs for TYPO3. In our development workflow, our developers were working locally on their machines using DDEV. And then we had our GitLab server, and we had a couple of development branches. We had at the beginning, I think, something like 5 different development branches. And so we used those branches and then pushed those things to master. For the data transformations, here's an example how we did the transformation from real URL to slugs. We made this as a two-step process. First of all, for all the extensions in the database, we added a database field path segment. And you can do this with a TCA type slug. And so then in the second step, the slug helper migrates all the titles into that path segment field. And then we had written a couple of root enhancers, which just to the actual migration from real URL to slugs. And those modifications are also in the modifications.sql file. Here you can see an excerpt from that file. You have to set it up only once, and you can see here that, for example, we are using the form framework instead of PowerMail. So actually already in version 8, we created or recreated all the forms that were previously PowerMail forms. So in version 8, we had both forms, once in PowerMail, once in the form framework. And then we just disabled all the form framework forms in version 8. And in the version 10, we enabled the form framework forms. So other changes we made during the upgrade, we moved our deployment from serve to deployer, simply because registered commands in deployer can be executed either on the local machine or on the remote machine, which gave us just a bit more flexibility over serve. Then we had been using the extender extension previously, and we found out that there are some compatibility issues with version 10 of TYPO3. So we got rid of the extender extension and solved that with X-base subclasses. So as I already said, we replaced PowerMail with forms. We had about 70 forms that need to be recreated. Some of them were quite simple, like a contact form, but we had also some very complex forms that need to be recreated with the form framework. And in PowerMail, we have used the feature that if someone fills out the form, it's stored in the database for a couple of days. And after that, it's automatically being deleted by a scheduler task. And in order to recreate this functionality with the form framework, we have created an extension which is called Form Tools. And there we can save the data that has been entered into the form. We can save the data to in XML format to the database. And then it's also being removed after a couple of days. One big question was, what are we doing with direct mail? The customer has been using direct mail to send out quite a number of different newsletters. And when we started the project, direct mail was only available for version 9 of TYPO3. And we had no idea when direct mail for version 10 would be available. One of the possibilities would have been that we take the upgrade from version 9 to version 10 of direct mail, or that we are looking for an alternative for direct mail. And we have then found the extension LuxLetter as an alternative, and it looked a little bit more modern. And so we looked into the extension, we developed a couple of newsletter templates, we tested this. We also contributed back to the developer those findings we had and the changes we needed to make for our application. But then we found out that LuxLetter, the extension, could not handle a multi-domain installation. And it was not a trivial task to change that. Otherwise, we would have done that. But it would have been a rather radical change in the extension. So we said, okay, as much as we would like to use LuxLetter for the newsletters, and we have already developed all the templates and so on, we couldn't use LuxLetter. And then luckily, and I think it was in October of 2020, version 10 of direct mail came to the tear, and we then said, okay, then let's go back and use direct mail also in the future. So then at the end, everything went green. We had all the extensions in version 10. And you can see also here in the list, there are some extensions that we removed or we changed to other extensions like the CSSEO extension. We are now using the Yoast extension. PowerMail was replaced by Forms and so on. But all the other extensions that you see in green here, there we had then completed the upgrade, or the third-party developer who originally did the extension in the TER, he had updated that, and in some cases we also paid then the developer to do the actual update. So after that, phase 1 of the upgrade was completed. So we had the website now running on version 10.4. There were no visible changes to the outside because the website still looked the same. It used the design of version 8, and but the technical base now was TYPO3 version 10. Now we could move on to phase 2, making a new design for those 19 websites. In the redesign process, we first created a base design for all sites, which is based on the corporate design of the city of Pforzheim. But then each website gets its own look, but still you can see, well, this is one of the city websites because they have some common elements. And also some elements that we are using, like addresses, icons, buttons, navigation, links, they all share the same design across all sites. And what we did is we created a style guide, which is actually included in the website itself. And for all the elements we had within the website, and this is just an example for one element, which is the address. If you show any address on the website, we had a total of 8 different layouts and appearances for these addresses, depending on where they are being used. But so we got a consistent look for addresses across all the sites, and having the style guide included in the TYPO3 website also has the advantage when there is an update of TYPO3 or an update of the extension, then we can just look at the style guide whether all elements are still looking the same, and we can, within a very short moment, we can control whether the update break any of those appearances. So what you see here on the left side is the old design of the website. On the right side, you see the new design. It's not to scale, but in order to show all of the new site, I had to shrink it a little bit. The content on the left side and on the right side is the same. It's the same text, same images, same functionality. But you can see that the style or the layout of the site has been changed. In the old design, we had a menu in the left column, and then in the main column, we had some elements that used the whole width of the main column, and then the main column was divided between a left and a right column. Now in the new website, all these elements are underneath each other, and so a couple of these elements had to be moved. So we had some elements, the menu items went to buttons on the top. The items we had in the right column, they were moved down to the bottom of the page, and so on. And in the back end, of course, you have to make also these changes. So you have to move around the content for the new design. You have to move around the content from the right column to the main column, and so on. In order to do this, and we had this one installation with 18 websites. Now, some websites are still using the old design, and some websites are going to use the new design. So we actually had 2 site packages installed, and one site package was for version 8 and one site package then was for version 10. And we needed to make some precautions that those site packages are not competing against each other. But so we had to put some of the settings, we had to put them into the backend, into page tsconfig and so on, and not into the site package files. Because when you put it in the site package files, whoever is loaded the last is then wins. Now, we had this installation with the 18 websites, and this is what I call installation 1. And all those domains that point to that were the live websites. Now, in order to update one of the portals, we actually make a copy of the whole project. So we have a copy of all the 18 websites in a second installation. And then we just take the domain that needs to be updated, which receives a new design. That domain is showing to the copy. And in the meantime, we have a development domain which shows to the main installation. And now the editors can go and rearrange their content and shift that around, while still the old design of the website is online. Now, in that relatively short phase, when they had to add some news articles or to update some COVID-19 information on the website, they did this still in the old design, and then they had to duplicate this in the new design, but that was only a very short process. And once the design update was completed, then we just switched back the domain to the main installation, and the new design went online. And so is the process for all of the 18 portals in that installation. You can see here again a comparison between the old design with version 8 on the left side, which seems to be a little bit cluttered. And then you see the design in version 10 on the right side, which is a little bit more modern. It is more airy, it has more free space, and it's easier to navigate and find that information that you're looking for. Also, we had to make sure that all of the content on the website is accessible, because a couple of years ago that was still optional for cities, and now it's mandatory, so that the website is completely accessible. And here you can see also the design or the comparison between the old mobile version and the new mobile version. And also the new mobile version just looks a little bit clearer. The buttons are a little bit bigger and so on. So it's a more airy design. All of the extensions that we are using in the projects, they are available in the TYPO3 extension repository. They are available in our GitHub repository, and they are also available on Packagist, and you are free to use them. If you have any questions, well, you can ask them now or contact us after the presentation. All the slides and the sample code from our nightly update script, they are available on our website, and you can just go to that link which is shown on the bottom left, and you can pick up the presentation and the code there. Thank you very much. So, are there any questions? The question is, how many people can work in a project like this? Actually, the editors that are working online, there might be anywhere from maybe 5 to 50 editors online at a time. And so it's very unusual that something like all of the 500 editors would be working online, because each department is changing their or updating their website from time to time, or updating their content. And from our development side, we were up to 6 people working on this project. Okay. What about the data structure changes, like new template for the new design, handled by modifications SQL also? Yes, some of those changes were also handled by the modifications SQL, but most of the necessary changes coming with the redesign, they had to be done by the editors, because the editors had to decide, okay, those items, for example, that I had in the right column, where should I put them in the new design? So that was basically a drag and drop operation when rearranging the content elements. But other than that, there was very little work to be done when switching the design from version 8 to version 10, because the content is basically the same, but some content elements, however, needed to be rearranged, and also in the process, of course, some of those content elements have been updated. Benjamin Godfrey is asking, why did you prefer to use a modifications SQL file and did not write upgrade wizards for the content data? Well, actually, most of the work is done in upgrade wizard. So for all of our extensions which needed a new or had a new database structure or whatsoever, we have written upgrade wizard that were executed. What we have done in the modifications SQL file was more like disabling PowerMail, enabling the forms framework, and like some of the changes had to do with the backend user rights, where we had to modify some of the backend user group settings. So these were done in the modifications.sql file, and all the other things were done by migration or update wizards that we have written for our extensions. But what I will also put up on the website, what I have not done so far, I will put a copy of that modifications.sql file so that you can have a look at it. It's not so much which is in that file, so most of the things are done in the upgrade wizard. Okay, the next question is, do you manage the migration only with TYPO3 core functionality, or did you write some custom migration code, like a migration extension? Well, not with a migration extension, but as I said before, with migration wizards that we have created for our extensions that were necessary. And also, I think, for some third-party extensions where the database structure changed, but the extension did not provide an upgrade wizard, there we have changed this. Also, when you take the upgrade wizards from the TYPO3 core, these upgrade wizards can only make an upgrade from one version to the next version, like from version 8 to 9 and 9 to 10. However, we were doing that upgrade from version 8 to 10 in one step. So we actually modified some of those, or extended or backported some of those upgrade wizards so that we can do the whole migration in one step. Okay, Daniel asks, how do you include the style guide? Well, the style guide are just a couple of content pages in the website, which are not visible to external users, but which we can just view it. And I think we have something like maybe 30 pages. And for each extension, we have the various views, like a list view, single view, archive view, and so on. For all of these elements, like buttons, icons, or like you have seen on the address, we just put examples on each of the variations of the content on 2 pages, and then we can just look to them, or even use automated tools when we do an upgrade, that we basically take a screenshot from before the upgrade, compare it with a screenshot after the upgrade, and then you can also automate this checking. Okay, this was the last question. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, just give us a call, write us an email, or use one of the social channels. You can download the presentation and the sample code from our website. And well, enjoy the rest of the TYPO3 Online Days 21. Bye-bye.
We'll see. So just as a quick heads up, thanks very much to Jochen for the session. We have no clue what's up with the audio. It all used to work when in pre-production. We're still trying to figure out what's actually happening. Sorry for that. That's live. So you can see this is not pre-recorded. This is all live, people from all over the globe working together via this miraculous thing, the internet. We're still figuring out what actually happened and try to fix it somehow, hopefully. So please accept our apologies. We're still in the process of trying to figure out what's happening. Next up, we will be having Lena Wolf, a very, very amazing, awesome member of our documentation team. And she will be talking about automating screenshots in the TYPO3 backend, which was part of the documentation project she was involved in. And we'll head on over to her talk right after the segue to our sponsors. Enjoy.